So when you outline a modified motivated sequence speech, it's going to look exactly the same as any other outline. So refer to your handout on outlining. It's just that the details are going to be slightly different. And so that's what we're going to go through now. For example, on the introduction of a modified motivated sequence speech, first thing you're going to do is get our attention, just like any other speech. But if you're trying to get us, to get up off our butts and do something, you really need to hit us hard with this. And then you're going to state what the need is. You're going to state how we're going to satisfy that in one sentence each. I cannot stress this enough. Do not belabor these points. Simply tell us, here's the problem. Here's what we're going to do to fix it. One sentence and then move on. You're not going to sit there and argue that this is an important need, argue that this is the best solution. Just state them as if they are a given and move on. The example I always think of is maybe I'm trying to fix road rage. And so my attention getter, might be I tell you this engrossing story about this woman who was driving down I-25 and was a victim of road rage, and her minivan were run off the road, and her and 10 of her kids died in a fiery accident and stuff. And I'd tell you all the gory details, and then I would stop and I'd state the need is road rage is the #1 crisis facing America right now, and I need you to sign my petition to put poison spikes in airbags. And I state that as if that is the most logical thing that you ever heard. I could sit there and argue, well, if you stop and think about it, poison spikes in an airbag might actually reduce road rage because, one reason accidents seem to be going up is that cars are a lot safer, so you're more likely to survive them. But if you knew you were going to die if you were in an accident, it was guaranteed you would die, you might actually drive a little bit slower, be a little more cautious. Don't do any of that. Just simply state, #1 crisis facing America right now is road rage. The solution is sign my petition to put poison spikes in airbags. End of discussion, as if that's the most logical thing ever. And then preview your main points. Tell us what you're going to tell us. And what are your main points going to be? Hopefully you were paying attention to the previous video. Your main points are going to be stories. And so in the example that I give in the handout, I tell you the story about Julie and Nancy. Julie lost her house because of a breast cancer diagnosis and ended up dying in a rundown, beaten up apartment. And then I'll tell you the story of Nancy. And Nancy isn't actually one person. She's really kind of an amalgamation of a bunch of different women that we worked with, or that I worked with personally when I was on the board. And so I took bits and pieces of her story, or bits and pieces of these women's stories, put them together into one person and called her Nancy. So those would be my two main points. So in the introduction, if you think about it, your attention getter is going to be the vast majority of your introduction, because you're going to spend all that time trying to get us worked up and motivated to really pay attention. So, spend some time telling that initial story, state the problem, state the solution in one sentence each, and then your preview is one sentence. Let me tell you about two amazing women that I've encountered in my life, Julie and Nancy. And then you transition into the body of